Welcome to my channel. This time, I'm exploring a simulated audio control board. Finally, my plan continued. The first impression of an audio control board is probably that it has lots of buttons. In reality, a small microcontroller PCB won't have that many communication pins. Today, I happen to receive a promotional RP2350 chip promotion from a eShop. Chips are getting smaller and smaller, and the number of pins is only decreasing, even though the photo shows two circles of pins that look pretty impressive. Examples of multiple inputs have existed since long ago. Commercially available calculator keypad modules use 8 pins for 16 keys. For an audio control board, that's far too few. If you buy two sets with a total of 48 keys, you'd need 24 pins. Clearly, that's not enough on Arduino Nano. Since there aren't enough pins, expanding the number of pins becomes the next focus. Google AI search recommended the multiplexer HC4067. I also found an expert's theory, using 3 multiplexers would only take up 3 pins. However, studying the multiplexer module might take me quite a bit of time. As a software engineer, with the usual occupational habits, when I hear the word multiple, I often think of hundreds or even thousands. The current approach seems to scan each key one by one. The more keys there are, the longer it takes to complete a full scan. When using a computer, the keyboard usually actively reports which key was pressed. The computer just receives the reported data, it doesn't need to scan all the keys. So, let's just use something off the shelf. Fortunately, I found a keyboard that transmits via USB. The channel owner reads the keyboard data through serial input. I think I'll need to spend some time later studying the keyboard's PCB to see if there's a way to generate serial signals myself. I'm already familiar with serial ports. In the previous video, I explained serial signals on Arduino. The current issue is that a standard Arduino only comes with one serial port. This is where the software serial library comes in. It allows you to use 2 pins to simulate a serial port. Serial communication trades time for larger character encoding. A standard keyboard currently has 104 keys, so using 2 of them can correspond to 208 inputs. Previously, the MP3 player setup could be modified like this. The original serial ports were already used by the MP3 player, so the keyboard can only use software serial. Next comes the imaginative part. Hopefully, once I receive the components, I'll spend some time completing the audio control board simulation. I currently don't have a wired keyboard. The hot swappable mechanical keyboard I ordered recently is wired, but it only has 64 keys. Software serial needs to be declared as a global variable and added after the included libraries. In setup, initialize the serial port. To reduce the CPU's regular workload, loop usually includes a delay. However, since I don't want keyboard input to be blocked by delays, I plan to handle keyboard input using interrupts. So in setup, I added a line to specify which function should handle the interrupt when it occurs. In Arduino, the prototype is void function. First, define the function that will handle the task for my serial. Then add this new function to the setup. Trying to reason through the code with just imagination is getting a bit exhausting. Some things really need to be tested in practice. For example, in the keyboard example I found Dr. Volts the way he reads input is using digital read, which only reads 1 bit. Before reading this bit, he filtered out a lot of clock signals, and after that, a lot of data. I'm not entirely sure how much work is being skipped when directly using software serial.read, or whether skipping those steps is still correct. In Dr. Volt's video, it's unclear why the clock had to be cleared so many times. These differences can only really be tested with the physical setup to compare both approaches. Arduino has functions for reading ASCII, and there are libraries for parsing PS/2 keyboards, in this case, using PS/2 to infer how USB keyboards work. Whether they can actually be used and why the channel owner didn't use them is unclear. In developing tech products, many things go through phases of being phased out. Some libraries created early on may no longer work a few years later. It's also common to hear developers say a library no longer works. Based on the method used by the channel owner, manually parsing the bit-level data is a more reliable approach. It also makes it more likely that you can fix someone else's library code and save yourself time. That's the end of this video. Hope I get the components soon. See you in the next one.